know I know you're a big champion of small businesses across the state. So anything you'd say to kick us off?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And because I won't be able to stay on for the whole time, I'll just thank everyone again for continuing to drive these meetings. These meetings are only as good as the people who are bringing their ideas to the table. And we really appreciate in my office the opportunity to connect with you all and really appreciate CJ being a part of today's convening as well. The administration is really working across agencies to make sure that we are supporting the work that's being done here, as well as supporting our small businesses across our state. So, on behalf of Charlene, who's doing a lot of other good work this morning, I usually see her. We really appreciate the collaboration, and I'm looking forward to hearing more this morning. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. And this is our agenda for today. As Lieutenant Governor mentioned, we're fortunate to have some key speakers from the Division of Small Business. I'll start with an overview of some background context and data, and then we'll spend most of the time sort of discussing, hearing from them, and then giving you all time to ask questions and give feedback. And so let's just take a second to introduce ourselves in the chat so that especially our guest speakers can know who's joining us, like a name. If you're affiliated with an organization or an art form, you're welcome to share a location in the state that you are zooming in from. That location is changing as you drive down Route 1. And just as a reminder, our objectives here every other month are to really connect government leaders and advocacy leaders and business leaders with other leaders in the arts. We hope that you will all leave with a greater understanding of the resources, supports, and programs that the Division of Small Business provides, and that their team, as well as the Lieutenant Governor's team and the Arts Alliance team, will leave with a greater understanding of what your needs are as businesses working in the creative economy. So just a little bit of context up front, because I know some folks may be joining this call for the first time. Maybe you heard about it through social media or an email listserv, and you haven't been on previous calls. The Delaware Arts Alliance released a set of research called the Create Plan last year, measuring and putting forward recommendations to support Delaware's creative economy, which includes businesses in all of these sort of subsectors. We found that there are over 18,000 jobs in Delaware with an output of $3.7 billion dollars. And whether you're a small nonprofit or you're a for-profit organization, if you are dedicated to sort of the cultural, artistic, and heritage-related production of goods, services, and activities, you're included in here. And we found that arts are not just powerful for their artistic value, but also as economic drivers. And some key findings from that plan, which relate to our topic of conversation today, which is small business supports in the arts, we found that over 70% of the creative economy are small businesses. An additional 17% are self-employed. Both individual creatives and arts organizations reported skill gaps, mainly related to business and management, including financial management, cash flow forecasting, branding, and pricing their goods. As it relates to tourism, we found that Delaware largely exports consumers more so than it brings folks in. And we do know we bring a lot of folks into the state. As it relates to funding, we found that folks were looking for more consistent sources of revenue and funding. And then again, building on that topic of professional development, found that the creative economy needs more accessible and formalized professional developments, especially in areas of marketing, social media, business management. There's a lack of sort of formal mentoring and guidance programs, and all of that contributes to a bit of a brain drain of especially young creatives leaving Delaware to find work elsewhere. And so we put forward about 25 recommendations, a few of which are included here today. You'll hear the Division of Small Business speak to a few of these topics and the work that they're doing. We recommended the inclusion of the creative economy in statewide business and economic development communications and programs, the creation of a full-time government position to specifically represent the needs of this sector, especially small businesses in this sector, to modernize our film and media industry, to identify additional revenue streams, to host professional development workshops, and to identify and promote spaces for the creative economy. So if any of these are of particular interest to folks, we've included in the slides at the very, very end case studies where this work is happening excitingly in places across the country and the world, which we can speak to if there's time on this call, or we can send out as reading material for after the call. So I think that's just a bit of context we wanted to provide before welcoming up. Oh, sorry, one more slide. I mean, as important as it is to support creative economy of small businesses, we know that there are other businesses and other sectors that can partner with the arts. So we put forward a one pager with some ideas for ways that your non-arts business friends can be supportive of the arts. We have these one pagers. We're happy to print them and share them if anybody wants to distribute them. You can see the examples on here. And we're particularly promoting Delaware Scene as a website that now can host job opportunities. So if your local restaurant wants to put a mural on the side of its wall, or if you know a company that wants to brand itself and hire a videographer or photographer or graphic designer, all of those jobs and opportunities can be posted on Delaware Scene as a way to create connections between the arts sector and other sectors. So now officially that's it from me, and I would love to invite CJ to take the sort of metaphorical stage and maybe invite your team to introduce themselves. And again, appreciate your being willing to present to our group. We've got about 56 folks on the call at the moment, which is exciting turnout to hear from you.
Awesome, awesome. No pressure, no pressure, right?
No, we're used to it.
So again, thank you, Neil. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and team for allowing us to come here today. I'll be frank with you and tell you that, the division does a really good job of helping startups. We do a really good job of helping, big business, but we need improvement in the missing middle, right? And the creative economy fits that bucket. And when I say missing middle, we don't have a lot of programming specifically geared towards that. That's something that we're looking to change, and hopefully this conversation can really be the brainchild that stirs that forward, right? So I have on the call Anastasia Jackson and Joe Zilcosky on our team, who you'll hear from a little bit later in the presentation. Just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview of some of the funding pathways that are available to you all. So again, a lot of people don't know the Division of Small Business is actually three divisions in one. So our motto for the division is it starts with us. So whether it is your first time in Delaware, visiting Delaware, Delaware Tourism Office, your first time trying to get a state contract under OSD, trying to get certified, or just your first time starting a business, it usually starts with us. So we take a very serious mentality that, for every hour that you're spending with us during the day is an hour away from your business. So we got to be efficient, in order to make sure that you have the resources you need. So next slide. All right. So again, funding pathways is a critical piece of what we do, and it's a critical piece of your success. So I want to just go over four pathways that are potentially for you all, potentially and access to you all that are programs readily available now. We are going to have Q&A because I would love to hear about what else can we do, right? This isn't for me to lecture you. This isn't for Anastasia or Joe to lecture you. Is to hear from what is it that we're missing, right? You know this better than we do. So again, take this in, but please, during the Q&A, I would love to hear from you all. Next slide. So a lot of people know about Edge, right? If you don't know about Edge, I'm not sure where you have been because this is like our flagship program. People know about this. People get referred to us about this all the time. We just closed our application window for the fall. We do Edge 2 times a year. So if you missed this time, look for us again in February. You can sign up for our weekly newsletter so you'll be the first to know, business.delaware.gov. If the team could put that in the chat, that would be great. So we changed Edge up a little bit, right? It still has 2 categories. You still have entrepreneur and STEM. You still have the match requirement, right? So you can't apply for $1 million if you don't have 333,000 in private funding, right? So you see the example there. It is still for businesses 7 years or younger, right? So that's from when you are incorporated, right? If you were incorporated in 2016, you're going to miss the cut. Majority of your staff and your business has to be located in Delaware. Again, grant funding is limited, so the administration has taken a standpoint of we want to make sure we're investing in companies here, right? This funding is strictly for companies based in Delaware. There are bonus points, right, for women, minority, veteran-owned businesses, also businesses located in opportunity zones. A lot of you may already fit that category. There's a new category that we added for additional points for governors' industries of interest. And one of those pillars is tourism, recreation, and entertainment. Creative economy hits almost all of those all the time. So again, you have a leg up versus your traditional restaurant, coffee shop. There's ways that you all can really push forward. Next slide. So we increased we increased the eligibility. So instead of it being up to 10 employees, it's up to 15. And if you don't have any full-time employees, just count. Basically, you can have up to 30 part-time and still be eligible for Edge. And you must have lower than 700K in gross assets. So before this was 500K. Again, we've heard a lot of feedback and we wanted to increase the amount of people that could apply. Next slide. All right, so this is where it gets this has changed dramatically. So before in Edge, you had 5 winners in the entrepreneurship category and 5 winners in the STEM category. So you all had a finite amount of funding you would get. For entrepreneur was 50,000 apiece for 5 people, and then 100,000 apiece for STEM category awardees. We've changed that to really award the best of the best. Not everybody is going to pitch the same. Not everybody's application will be the same. Some will be ready to deliver immediately. And we wanted to make sure that we gave the judges, our experts in the state, the opportunity to provide funding to the companies that showcase the best, right? So if you fully believe in your company, which all of you should, this is your opportunity to not just have to get the same amount that, Joe or Bill scored, in the same category as you. Now you have a chance to get up to $400,000. Again, a 60% increase in total funding from the fiscal year before, and then up to $750,000 in the STEM category, a 50% increase from fiscal year before. Also, a new thing, not only will awardees get support, but finalists get support now too. So finalists will receive in-kind services. So this is kind of going back to Neil mentioned a little bit earlier, the professional development piece, right? So what does in-kind services look like for Edge finalists? It's scoping services that will be provided to basically evaluate your company, right? So green will show you things that you're doing really well. Yellow will show you things that you might want to change, and then red are things that you should change immediately. Not only do you get that assessment, but then we pay for in-kind services if you were lacking in your marketing, right? If you were lacking in your social media management, if you were lacking in your bookkeeping services, we pay for that ahead of time. It's almost like paying for therapy up to about, 6 to 8 sessions ahead of time. So that way you get a chance to not only have an assessment of your company, but work with a verified, expert that can help you grow, right? So that's what we really want to do. A lot of our programming and a lot of our services are gearing towards how do we help companies scale, right? Our goal is to help 100 companies to scale to hire 100 Delawareans. And we can only do that by providing services that allow for that scaling support. So on top of all finalists receiving support or some sort of award now, all finalists also have expedited review to other state programs that we oversee. So SSBCI, which you'll hear me talk about in a little bit, and then the strategic fund, which you may have seen in the news where companies, I'm sorry, uh-oh, where you may have seen companies get like, half a million, $1 million plus to expand their company in the state of Delaware. So having that expedited review again gives you a leg up. Like what we want to do for companies that have been vetted and tested by us, we want to make sure that you are a priority in other funding programming that we either create or that we already have now. Next slide. The race to 14 million. You may have heard about this. We've been preaching it since late March. You can go to the next slide. SSBCI is a federally funded program. So this is a program under U.S. Treasury. Every state has received SSBCI funding. What makes Delaware very unique, a lot of states are on their last tranche of funding. You get 3 tranches in total. Delaware is on its first. So we get 20 million per tranche, and we have 3 years each period to spend it. Anthony said no slides are showing. Are other people able to see the slides? I'm seeing it on my screen. I just wanted to check in. If you can see it, just put yes in the chat. Okay. I see a couple people saying yes. We may have to send it to Anthony afterwards.
Yeah.
So with Delaware, right? We are in our first tranche. So we have 14 million to disperse by the end of the calendar year. So far, we have dispersed about 6 million and we have 8 million more to go. I want to tell you about the programs instead of just telling you the headlines, right? So we have three programs that we do, and two of them I think are perfect for the creative economy. What we essentially do with the programs that you see on the screen, DCAP and DLPP, is we incentivize CDFIs. For those that don't know, that's like a bank, a credit union. It stands for Community Development Financial Institutions. We basically incentivize them to give funding or access to capital to people they traditionally wouldn't, right? So think about restaurants who usually have low margins. They're a hard lender, to give funding to. Think about your traditional, micropreneur that kind of just started off and is doing a lot of 1099 work. That might be hard to lend to, right? So what we do is incentivize them and take away the risk. So for DCAP, the DCAP program, if you go to the next slide for me. Oh, sorry, you can go back. I thought I had a breakdown. So for DCAP, what we do is we basically create a default fund. So let's say you had $100,000
Okay,
that you
I'm
needed.
on.
Awesome. Good morning, Colin. Good to see you. We have $100,000 that you need. What DSB will do is create a default reserve fund. So basically, if you fit the opportunity zones, if you fit the SETI's agreements, if you are a minority-owned business, we'll put up a certain amount of funding. Let's say it's 12,500. Again, if you were to default on that loan tomorrow, the bank receives that default reserve fund. So they receive that 12,500. Again, just making sure that banks are giving funding to the people that need it the most, right? That's our job as government is not to tell a private entity what to do, but to incentivize them to help the people that we both want to support. You can go to the next slide. Accelerator and seed capital program. A lot of people hear about this because it is essentially equitable investments, equity investments into startup companies, right? So these are going to be companies that you can think of companies like WhipFlip, right? That's using AI to really automate used car sales, right? You could think of companies like Carixer that is doing, like life-changing oncology, kind of treatment support in cancer. So those are the companies that usually fit this bucket. We may have a couple. I'm happy to talk to you all more about it. If you want to know more information, just go to de.gov/SSBCI. So again, de.gov/SSBCI. I'm gonna stop there and let Anastasia take the floor, who can provide a lot of information about our Delaware on Main Street program.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, CJ, for passing the mic over to me. My name is Anastasia Jackson. I'm the Kent County Regional Business Manager at the Delaware Division of Small Business, and I'm also the overseer of the Delaware on Main Street program as the statewide coordinator. The state of Delaware is a participant in the National Main Street umbrella as a coordinating program for the National Main Street. Next slide, please. We currently have a new program called the Business on Main Street Accelerator Program that kicked off this year. And we had a total of 23 small businesses that graduated from the program. There were businesses that were in the arts that were a part of it. And we're really excited about kicking off the next launch of it. And as soon as we have more information and more details on that, I will be sending that over to Neil and his team, as well as other stakeholders, so that way that can be promoted. So if you are a business owner and you're downtown and you're in the arts, you'll be able to take a part of that program. It really helps you with scaling your business and getting in the position to apply for some of the funding that Director Bell has mentioned before. Throughout the state, there are a total of 18 Main Street programs. So the local programs look like they're nonprofit organizations that are located in the downtown areas. Rehoboth Beach Main Street, Downtown Milford Incorporated, Downtown Dover Partnership, and Downtown Wilmington Visions are our accredited Main Street programs. So you're probably asking, what does that look like? They are set up as 501c3s. They currently have a working board. They have employees. Oh, it's zooming in.
All right.
It's
My
okay.
hand slipped.
They have committees that are set up to push the 4-point approach, which is design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality, to make sure that they're driving that initiative and supporting all of the Main Street America's requirements to be an accredited Main Street program. The affiliate programs have an executive director and they may have a working board, but they may not be at the level of an accredited yet, but they're working on those things with the support of local municipalities and other stakeholders. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to pass. Yeah, next slide. Now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Mr. Joe Zilcosky. Thank you.
How you doing? I'm Joe Zilcosky. I am the regional business manager for many of the STEM projects, and also I'm the member of the Film Commission. Can we go to the next slide? So the Film Commission a few years ago got funded for $950,000 to do a pilot project. Of that, there is still a little bit of money left for the projects in the $200,000 to $500,000 range. We've seen a lot of success bringing small movies to the area. For the $200,000 to $500,000 range, it's a reimbursement of up to 20% for production, pre-production, and post-production expenditures. For the over 500,000, it was 30%. Like I said, the funding has already been allocated. So this is where, as CJ said prior, we can really use your help. This next legislative season, we can either refund this project. There's already a legislative bill in for tax credits. There's a lot of different ways we can go. And now that we've sort of got our feet wet, we're really interested in learning from you guys what you would like to see to incent film production in Delaware. So we are open to questions. And we talk about all of the programs, not just the film program, but yeah, happy to talk about all the programs.
Thank you for zooming through a lot of work that your team manages to do with a very small staff in a quick amount of time. I mean, that brings us to discussion then. I think I'll stop sharing so we can see each other better. And I think what I value about these calls is that folks come not just representing their own interests and needs, but also like what does the sector need? Like what's good for us as a collective? And also folks typically come in pretty solutions oriented as opposed to just sort of complaining about the current status quo, but like what are some things we can do to sort of better support? So I'll open it up if folks have questions about anything they heard from Joe, Anastasia, or CJ, or if it's not something you heard, something you didn't hear that you want to ask about, like, hey, have we thought about, have we thought about this? Have we thought about X, Y, Z? So, this is not typically a shy group, so I'll let folks raise their hand, come off mute, and feel free to participate. As I've been actively muting all of you who accidentally sneezed throughout the meeting. Mike, I think I see you unmute. If you could introduce yourself and ask your question or feedback, and then we'll go to Matthew after that.
Sure, happy to. My name is Mike Pfeiffer. I run 1440 Film Co. We're a full-service video production company. CJ, you in your presentation had asked, like, what else could we do to kind of help, just art industry in general. One thing that I forgot which group did it. This was a number of years ago, but they brought a group of procurement people from the banks all together, and it was kind of open to all small businesses. And that was really beneficial for me as a small business. Like I got in front of like some of the larger banks, like the PNCs, the Bank of Americas, but I also got to meet like the Dover Federal Credit Union folks as well. And we had some really great work that we were able to do that way. I've seen less of that, facilitating connections things from some of the larger entities, especially in the arts culture. Like a lot of them are desperate for it. And a lot of times it's just like, they'll seek it outside of the state when it's like literally right under their nose. So kind of like in the spirit of blending arts and commerce, I think something to facilitate procurement and local talent would be amazing.
I like that. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good. Nandi, and then Kevin, if you could
And
unmute.
Mike is a past Edge winner.
There you go. Great job.
Good morning. My name is Nandi Gonda. I'm the owner of Nandi Protecting Families. I had a question. I attended the African American Chamber event last month in Wilmington. They had a lot of grants available for businesses in Wilmington. I was wondering, I mean, I emailed Joe occasionally. I was just wondering if you had anything available in Newcastle for I guess I don't know if you have anything for home-based businesses. I think that Wilmington has a lot for brick and mortar. I don't know who can I contact for grants because loans tired of paying interest. There's anything out there, somebody
A
can send
lot of
me an
those
email.
grant programs for Wilmington are like are for like facade improvement and stuff like that. You can feel free
Right.
to just shoot me an email after this and we can
No
touch
problem.
base. But
Okay,
it'll
no
probably
problem.
be easier for a loan program.
Okay, no
Kevin
problem.
and
Okay,
Nandi,
thank
that
you.
also speaks to something we heard from the Create Plan, which is like small business owners and artists are looking for like a centralized place to go to get that very question answered. Like if I'm
Okay,
looking for funding on X, Y, or Z, like where do I even start?
right.
And I think that that is just a good reminder that that's another thread that we can maybe pull on as a sector of like there's lots of stuff out there, but where are we putting all of that information to help inform folks? I mean, maybe that's something we can think about after the call too.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
Joe,
My name's
I got a
Kevin
question for you.
Cove. I'm an entrepreneur in the arts. I specialize in bespoke music for advertising. So I write music for commercials primarily, television and film as well. And I guess I'm more curious about like how we, like if there's a way in this to put this in our education system. Like, seems like one of the big threads was we there was a lack of education in like fiscal, like how do you start your business, how do you get funding for your business, how do you maintain like all this seems like an educational thing. And I'm curious if there is any kind of way to, with any of the resources we have here, to get some of that education inside of our schools so that that way you don't have a bunch of people who are looking for handouts. Instead, you have more people who are generating revenue, right? So that way we can have artists who understand how to generate revenue. There's a ton of, in my area, music, right? There's like all of the education is based on services, right? There's goods and services, and all of the education, if it's band or choir, is a service. And that's cool, but the person who makes the most money in that entire setting is the person who's not in the room. It's the person whose name is on the composition because they've created a good, right? And the IP around that good then gets distributed. And I think that we'd be in a much better position, especially specifically in music in the arts, if we had more fun, like education around the ways that you monetize IP. That's the business I'm in, right? Is monetizing IP. And then distributing that IP. If there's any kind of way to get that type of education funding for that education, I think that is something that I would be extremely interested in, and something I guess I'm curious about if it exists already.
Good morning, Kevin. This is Anastasia. It's great to hear from you. I know we've exchanged emails back and forth over the past couple of months. And in my role as a business manager, I've been really intentional about going to the local high schools and talking to like the marketing classes and the business classes about the division, and also just hearing from the students and letting them know that when they graduate, if they decide to pursue having a small business, that there are supports here in the state to help them. So connect them with the business manager so that way we can help guide them along with like getting that business plan in place. Now their teachers are helping them with that. I have seen in the curriculum that they are, helping them with business plans, understanding the market and doing industry research. There's a program called NAFS. I want you to look it up and I'll send you information about it. National Accounting Finance. And I'm on a committee for that. And they actually are helping those students. But to your point, in the arts part of it, the kids that are in choir and band or in dance or cheer or whatever, or like painting or in theatrical stuff in the school, they're not taking that class because they're working on those other classes. So if there was a way that they could incorporate that in the curriculum, I agree. I think that would be really great. And I'd like to chat with you more offline about getting you connected with the Department of Education and also seeing like how you can get that information to the table when that in the proper setting. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for that.
And Kevin, plug for our next call in November. We'll have folks from the Department of Education, specifically their Career and Technical Education Office and their Department of Labor on this very topic. So, I mean, and the Create Plan also found that in addition to monetizing and distributing IP, there was also a need around legal protections for IP. And so I think playing out sort of what all of those look like, not just for students, but for young creatives who've already graduated from school is definitely a need. Thank you
I got
for
a question for Joe.
Yeah, Andrew, please.
Hey, Joe.
How are you doing, Andrew?
Good, good. I wanted to make sure I understood you right. Did you say that there's still funding available in the $200,000 to $500,000 projects
Yeah.
in that range for the film
Yeah,
reimbursement?
there's still, I think we have like 100,000 left. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And
And it's not set to be renewed right now next year, the funding for this program?
right. So this was set as a pilot program. And I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now that they put the 950 into it. So and this is a great question because this is the time that we sort of decide what direction we're going to go. Do we want to put more funding into the rebate program, or would it be more important for you to have a tax credit? So yeah, if you have a film between the 2 and the 500,000 section, we still have a couple bucks for you, but that's not going to change the industry in Delaware. Conversations that are happening right now will change the industry in Delaware. So is it give 10 million to the commission from 10 million in rebates, or is it do a tax credit, or is it something else? And do the big films want one thing? Do the little films want something else? And we're a small state, we can accommodate, so but yeah, there is still money available.
Okay. Yeah, you may want to. So that's good to know. And then one other thing I was going to say is if it's not on your calendar yet, Joe, you may want to consider going to the Rehoboth International Film Festival in November.
Yeah.
Somewhere you might want to talk about the program.
All you Sussex County people. No, I'm kidding. I'll put it on my list.
Wilmington's got its first international film festival too coming up.
Yeah, Wilmington, that's October, right?
Brett, could
On
you
behalf of the Rehoboth Beach International Film Festival and Rehoboth Beach Film Society, thank you for that plug. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Dave. Great to hear
Happy
from
to
you.
help.
Happy you're on the call. Thank
Thanks.
you. Brett, why don't you introduce yourself next and ask your question?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I don't actually have a question. I just wanted to say I'm a new guy here. I just recently started at the Delaware Contemporary as the executive director, and I'm very overwhelmed with just how amazing the art community is here in Delaware. I want to thank Neil for that, especially. But everyone else, I see a lot of friendly faces on here. And thank you for everybody's time. And I'm really excited to get to work with everybody here.
Great to have you on, Brett, and welcome. Others who want to contribute answers to CJ's question, or like what else are needs in the sector that aren't currently being represented, or other questions about things that you heard presented today.
One random unrelated thing. Are you able to refinance with that pot of money you guys still are trying to give away?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have a higher interest rate because of how messed up everything was, you can refinance it down pretty significantly, actually. I mean, because rates were so high a couple of years ago, yeah, you can save a lot of money.
Cool.
Our partners right now for the SSBCR program are Delaware Credit Union, True Access Capital, and Community Bank in Lewis. We are adding two more partners that we will be announcing probably by the end of this month. Our goal is to have a litany of CDFIs on board because, as you know, most CDFIs have a niche, right? Some like agriculture, some like micro businesses, and the more warm leads we can hand off to them, like the better off we can serve the community that's always looking for financing.
Let's go to Elijah, who I saw commented in the chat that they have a question. Elijah, are you able to unmute?
Yes. Sorry. Good morning. I have no idea where the hands up icon moved to.
I never
Uh,
know. I never know either. So
yeah.
you found the
So
microphone regardless. Yeah, welcome.
yeah. So I have a question in terms of like I am so like I so my name is Elijah. It's Elijah M. Druitt. I represent the Eli Morris Experience, where over the years I've created social awareness rallies as well as entertainment type events. So currently I'm hosting an open mic experience uh, that is a combined art experience. So it's called Say It in Silhouette. It's an open mic that transitions into a micro art exhibition. So the artists actually perform in silhouette. It was designed that way for those artists that, excuse me, that may be suffering from shyness, um, stage fright, depression, those types of things, or they just confidence. They don't think they're that good. Um, so they come to me, they say it in silhouette, and then when they're done, that's when they step into the light and receive their flowers and the confident boost that they were possibly yearning for. After that's over, it then transitions to a micro artist talk where sculptor, painter, fashion designer, whatever comes, they bring enough pieces to tell a story to continue to captivate the audience, and then we rock out into a party. So I say all that to say, um, at its core, it was designed for to build confidence and self-esteem. And it's a kindness-driven initiative. All of my events are. I'm currently in this state of perfecting myself into a kindness disease, purposely infecting this world with kindness. So all of my things are conditioned that way. So at this point, I'm trying to merge Say It in Silhouette into other sectors. I've been reached out to by a community center and Bellevue, I believe, in Claymont. I'm actually premiering at my church, and I'm in talks of talking about my program in my children's middle school here in Wilmington, Conrad. I say all that to say is uh, I feel like I'm merging into like the social cause kind of atmosphere. So is there funding for me to kind of be able to maneuver that way, taking something that could be considered just entertainment when that's not what it is at its core, but in merging it into something that could be woven into, well, actually I'm finalizing writing the program for it as we speak, at schools as well as I'm again churches and community centers as well. I said a lot. Hopefully, it was concise enough for you guys to get it, and I didn't ramble too much. Sorry.
Hi, this is Anastasia Jackson here with the division. Elijah, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm going to put my email address in the chat box. I'd like to talk with you, off outside of here and just learn more about you. Get a copy of your business plan, your strategic plan for your company, and just see how you're looking to scale it. And then also maybe there's an opportunity for me to make some connections with you and some other stakeholders that may be perfect alignment for you.
Can I ask a question to the division before we move on to the next folk? When we say scale, does that mean hiring more full-time people? What does scale mean? Because I think oftentimes, right, entrepreneurs, like maybe you're contracting with other artists to put on an experience like that, but like the goal may not be to hire more full-time people. So I'm just curious if there is a standard definition of what we mean by scale.
So when I say scale, I'm not necessarily looking at they're going to hire employees. While that can be included in it, I want to know how he's looking to make money. I know that he said he wanted to bring on people and he's looking to like it's sort of like consulting. That's what I made a note of. I
Yeah.
just want to know like are there going to be fees associated with it? That's why I said it's going to be like a deeper dive conversation with him and I to see what that looks like if that's the route he wants to take.
Yeah, that is helpful for everyone to hear. Like, because sometimes I think I've heard that folks think like, oh, well, we're not hiring 15 people like maybe a business in STEM is. So does that mean we're not sort of eligible for this? But scale is interpreted as sort of growing your business generally. So that's helpful to hear.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Scale for us. I mean, we say, we'll reference like hiring more people. That's just the easy way um to convey it to people, but scale means sustainability. Like we want you to be to the point where you're not coming to us for every milestone or for every, financial obstacle, right? How do we get you to a point where you are self-sustaining, right?
Yep.
Is the biggest goal here.
Yep. Thank
So what I got from scale and what I'm thinking of in terms of scale, I'm thinking of it up in terms of scaling it as it's an actual program that is being utilized in the school district. I'm already talking to beta test it in Girls High because my best friend is the principal there. So
That makes sense.
I'm
Yeah.
so I'd rather do it in Delaware because this is where I live. So
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want too. More projects here. Thank you. Brian, could you unmute yourself and thank you for raising your hand and waiting. I appreciate it.
No problem. I found the hand button. It's in
It's
React.
hidden.
Anybody
Yeah,
look?
it's hidden.
Yep.
Introduce yourself for us, please. Thank you.
Opened so many pathways for you. Anyway, yeah, Brian Market with Light Action Productions and Pine Box Studios here in Wilmington. My question is mostly directed at to Joe. Nice to meet you. Hope to meet you in person sometime. Um, Regarding funding in your little project that they have, does that include like capital expenditures, improvements to facilities? So, reason I ask, we run a film studio, commercial studio, whatever you want to call it, and would that include improvements to that facility that would help bring, other projects to our place?
So there, we may have other funding that would help with, it depends on what they are, but it wouldn't be under the Film Commission. It would be under the Division of Small Business. But it depends on what the ask is. So,
Hmm,
but we can get into details about that. I'd love to meet with you. Let's set up a time offline.
that'd be great. Yeah.
But because yeah, you guys are a key catalyst, being the only soundstage in Delaware. You're a key catalyst to our growth. So love to talk to you offline. But yeah, the commission is for film. The commission money is.
Great. Thanks.
And then Irina's hand is raised, but I know that that's not Irina. So, Kim, introduce yourself, would you, please? Here. Maybe I can unmute you.
Does it say that I'm Marina? Because that's funny.
Yeah. Sometimes if you have a link that someone else sent you, it logs you in as that person.
Oh, yes. Irina sent me the link. But my name is Kim. I'm Kim Lucas. I am an artist, but I'm also the producer, the co-producer with Irina for Art Battle Wilmington, which has started a few months ago, and we're very excited to now be at the Queen. So we did want to talk about like we were gonna maybe apply for a grant because the Queen is super duper expensive. But also I thought this would be a good space to share that because I think a lot of us are dreamers here. And one of the dreams that me and my partner have is actually, I think that we talked about it at another, at a caucus, was having the hubs in each county. Is that something that we're still looking for, Neil?
It's still a recommendation of the CRE plan that there be sort of centralized spaces for artists to go and seek resources, performance and rehearsal space, camaraderie and community amongst peers. Certainly, we heard a need for that when we did our research. Yeah.
Okay. Because we have a dream that hopefully one day will come true. There's a big space in Middletown on Main Street. It's the old firehouse that's for sale, but it's also businesses on the bottom and then apartments on top. Our dream would be to keep the businesses, maybe even make some artist studios up top, and then have that like firehouse for events and things. As you know, we're really connected with a lot of the artists that are in Delaware, and with more and more art battles happening, it's just 12 artists a month that we're getting connections with, at least, that are competing, but then more that are coming and checking it out. But I just wanted to share that here in the big group, but then also hopefully continue the conversation privately too.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. Any other closing comments or thoughts? If not, I'll move us on in the agenda. CJ and team, other feedback I'd heard from folks who weren't able to come to this meeting, questions about the edge grants only being for businesses that are 7 years or younger, which makes sense. You're targeting a specific group. You asked earlier, are there other gaps that are missing and perhaps groups that are older than 7 years but still in need of some sort of like startup capital was a question that came up. Also, a question that was asked of me of sort of for-profit or nonprofit. I know Edge is specifically focused on for-profit organizations, but if there's anything else you'd say about the Edge grantor, I think that's the only other question that I would ask of you.
Yeah. So Edge, yes, Edge is not for nonprofits. SSBCI, the funding that we just talked about on the presentation, is for nonprofits, though. Nonprofits are eligible. I'm just trying to think of one recently. Coastal Volleyball just got 600K, to build their facility. So nonprofits do fit in that category. And the more, CDFIs we have, the better our options are. In terms of Edge, yes, Edge is for 7 years or younger. This is a very competitive grant, and I think it's because it's the biggest one in the state. In April, we had 139 applicants, 10 awardees, and this cycle we had 183. So we will see. I think it's going to continue to grow. We'll continue to have a high number of applicants, but we are looking to, it's not announced yet, but I'm hopeful that by the beginning of next calendar year, January, February, we will have a program that's geared towards those companies that are 7 years or older, right? It's a commercial corridor program, kind of going off of the Main Street Downtown Development District model. So stay tuned for that.
Great. Thank you. I want to thank your team again for, I mean, it's so few of you and you respond to so many folks across the state. Just want to thank you for your work. I'm at the Arts Alliance very, very excited that Edge 2.0 has a specific prioritization for arts, entertainment, and tourism. I think that's a win we should celebrate. If folks on this call have applied and are working through the process, it's a story we'd love to be able to present and share as progress towards the Create Plan through the Arts Alliance, saying that, this is really exciting progress that we can build upon. So feel free to let us know offline if that's something you're doing. And we'll send all of these slides out after the fact for folks to connect to. The end of those slides, like I mentioned earlier, will include some case studies if folks on the division or folks in the community are interested to learn more about what's happening in other states related to this topic. So just to give you like a quick glimpse of that, Choose Washington is their essentially division of small business. They are doing things like a Creative Academy, providing a series of modules, helping businesses sort of start. There's a slide in here on full-time staff, which I know the division could benefit from, that would support the small business and self-employed creative economy. Some more information on other states' motion picture industries, and Maryland next door, which has some incredible tax incentives that encourage commerce and sale of artistic goods in their Main Street corridors and their creative districts, which we could really learn from. So I'll send these out afterwards. And the last item on our agenda is typically a quick share out. So we don't have time for everyone on the call to say, hey, here's my next event, here's my next program, but we want to utilize the chat we gave a plug earlier to the upcoming um, film festivals, but if other folks have events, programs, opportunities that they want to plug, make sure they're getting onto Delaware Scene as our central calendar, but please take a second in the chat to share that. Um, and while folks do that, I would love to invite the Division of the Arts. I know Jessica and Kristen and others are on the call to give you all a minute or two to update us on anything that we should know about, including the upcoming Agents of Change Summit. So Jessica, Kristen, whoever wants to jump in, the mic's all yours.
Thanks, Neil. Yes, we have our Agents of Change Art Summit coming up on October 27th. Registration is open, so I hope you all, and thanks, Andy, for dropping that in the chat. I hope you all will join us there. Also, the division does a publicly informed strategic plan every 5 years, and we are about to launch into that process. So a lot of you will be hearing from us about participating in public forums or surveys. We're always, every 5 years looking to take the temperature of the sector and make sure that the work we're doing is responsive to current needs. So please get involved in our strategic planning process when you see that come across your inbox, or when you see it come across social media. I think those are the big things for us right now, Neil. Thank you.
Helpful, thank you. And Jessica, anything you would say in response to what you've heard about sort of need for training and business growth? I know it's something your division has been thinking about, right, as a need for the sector too. So I want to give you space if there's anything else you wanted to respond to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear that need amongst our individual artists and creatives, and we've been, piloting some ways to go about filling that need. We did some work last year with Elaine Luttrell, who worked with a lot of our individual artists, doing some workshops around financial planning, paying your taxes, managing cash flow, and basically running yourself as a business when you're an individual creative. And we plan to continue that type of work, hopefully in a more centralized and ongoing way in the future. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, helpful. Updates from the Arts Alliance, just to take a minute. We are currently doing a pulse survey of our members. So the Arts Alliance is a membership organization. Thank you to the 60 organizations who are dues paying members of the DAA. If you're not, you're welcome to join. The pulse survey Jordan sent out recently, it's asking for your reaction to some pieces of legislation that were introduced this last session, including the film bill that Joe brought up, and seeking some reactions and feedback so that we can position ourselves as the advocacy group to sort of be helpful and supportive during that discussion. It also just takes temperature on the needs of your organization so we can help develop our policy agenda for next session. If you haven't done that, thank you for taking a minute or two to contribute.
Neil, just real quick,
Yeah.
I just had something to add that I thought of is that, and looking at some of the work that Elijah was talking about, I want to encourage artists and individual creatives to reach out and partner with, community organizations as he's doing, community-based organizations or arts organizations or schools. Obviously, most of the folks on this call know that the Division of the Arts funding is typically geared towards nonprofits and government entities. And so a great way to be eligible for our funding is to develop programs inside of existing nonprofits or work with municipalities like cities or counties to develop programming that the Division of the Arts can support.
Yeah, thank you. The last update from us is next week is National Arts and Education Week. I'm sure many will celebrate that. We are actively tracking all of the federal funding discussions around the arts through the NEA, through title programs for arts education. Jordan's going to throw a link in the chat to the latest email campaign if you would like to let our members of Congress know that funding for the arts, including funding for arts education, matter to you. At the moment, federal education dollars are in a pretty good shape. Federal NEA dollars for the arts are in good shape in the Senate, but not in the House version of the appropriations bills. So we're monitoring. Our federal delegation is all very supportive. We've been in touch with them. But if folks would like to share their specific support, it never hurts for our elected officials to hear from you directly. So with that, I will ask if the Lieutenant Governor's office, Mark, or anybody has any updates from your office to share. And after that, we'll move into wrap up.
Thanks so much, Neil. My colleague Palumi just put some links and email addresses in the chat for you all. Thank you all for being here. Neil and your team, thank you so much. Director Bell and your team, thank you so much. Director Ball and your team, thank you so much. I see State Representative Mara Gorman joined us this morning. Thank you so much for your support of the work being done of all the people here. Thank you all for being here today. It's 10:28, so I'd like to give you all back 2 minutes of your time. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you in November. Right, Neil?
Yeah, let me pull up the slide that has the date, November 13th, 9:30 a.m. Our topic is going to be Senate Concurrent Resolution 109, which was sponsored by Representative Gorman, thank you very much, and others, focused on workforce development, internships, and implications for the creative economy. We'll hear directly from some folks in the Department of Labor who are offering apprenticeships programs and how that might be a fit for your organization, funding to support the training of folks in your industry. And we'll hear from folks in the Career and Technical Education Office of the department about some of their curricular efforts and their work-based learning efforts as they look to respond to the legislature's request that they focus on these things. So another exciting topic will be virtual. And then we've been in touch with the Lieutenant Governor's office to think about next year doing something in person to kick off the year so we can have the opportunity to get together and mingle, not just through our computer screens. So sorry, that was your 2 minutes back. I used it. But now, yeah, we're going to officially end the call. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks, Neil.
And